This is Land of Havilah, Hosea 7. This chapter has some metaphors that are hard to understand at first, but hopefully we'll unravel them. Yahweh says, verse 1, "When I would heal Israel, then the iniquity of Ephraim is uncovered, also the wickedness of Samaria, for they commit falsehood, and the thief enters in, and the gang of robbers ravages outside. They don't consider in their hearts that I remember all their wickedness. Now their own deeds have engulfed them. They are before my face. They make the king glad with their wickedness, and the princes with their lies. They are all adulterers. They are burning like an oven that the baker stops stirring, from the kneading of the dough until it's leavened. On the day of our king, the princes made themselves sick with the heat of wine. He joined his hand with mockers, for they have prepared their heart like an oven while they lie in wait. Their baker sleeps all the night. In the morning it burns as a flaming fire. They're all hot as an oven and devour their judges. All their kings have fallen. There is no one among them who calls to me. Ephraim, he mixes himself among the nations. Ephraim is a pancake not turned over." Comment in verse 1, "When Yahweh would heal Israel, then the iniquity of Ephraim and wickedness of Samaria is uncovered." He would like to heal Israel, but he sees their flagrant wickedness, which prevents him from healing them. And in verse 1, "They commit falsehood, and the thief enters in, and the gang of robbers ravages outside," which is to say, by sinning they open the door to thieves and robbers. The thief could be Satan. He comes only to kill, steal, and destroy, John 10:10. Or it could be God himself. He said if Israel would walk contrary to him, he would walk contrary to them and strike them 7 times for their sins, Leviticus 26:23 and 24. Jesus said, "Sin no more so that nothing worse happens to you," John 5:14. And Jesus said if Jezebel would refuse to repent, he would throw her into great oppression and kill her children with death, Revelation 2:20-23. So, sin and be destroyed is the message. In verse 2, it's the same idea. Their own deeds have engulfed them, and their sins are before Yahweh's face. In verse 3, they make the king glad with their wickedness, and the princes with their lies, which is to say the royalty approves of their wickedness and are even glad about it. In verse 4, it's not clear about the baker and the oven at first, but when we read the next 4 verses, we understand that the baker stoked the oven with wood, then he ignored the oven while he was kneading the bread and letting the bread rise. Meantime, the oven got overheated. All Israel are adulterers. They're a burning oven. They're inflamed after their gods, heated up in their sins. They consume and destroy. In verse 5, they make themselves sick with the heat of wine. It's probably for one that they literally drink too much and are inflamed that way, but they're heated with many sins. In verse 6, they've prepared their heart like an oven, meaning their hearts are overheated ovens that destroy everything. And their baker sleeps all night. In the morning it burns as a flaming fire. It's one thing for the baker to ignore the oven for a couple hours while he lets the bread rise, but their hearts are like ovens that have had a fire raging in them all night. That's how overheated and destructive their hearts have become. In verse 7, quote, "They're all hot as an oven and devour their judges. All their kings have fallen. There's no one among them who calls on me," end quote. The heat of sin has devoured them all, from the judges to the kings. It's a societal condition, and no one calls on Yahweh. In verse 8, Ephraim mixes himself among the nations, which is to say, Ephraim has mixed with foreigners. They mix by marriage, probably, and they adopt foreign gods and culture. And in verse 8, Ephraim is a pancake not turned over. That gives us the image of one side cooked and the other side raw. They should turn. The Hebrew word for turning also means to repent. Verse 9. Strangers have devoured his strength, and he doesn't realize it. Indeed, gray hairs are here and there on him, and he doesn't realize it. The pride of Israel testifies to his face, yet they haven't returned to Yahweh their God, nor sought him for all this. Ephraim is like an easily deceived dove without understanding. They call to Egypt, they go to Assyria. When they go, I will spread my net on them. I'll bring them down like the birds of the sky. I'll chastise them as their congregation has heard. Comment in verse 9, strangers have devoured Israel's strength, and Israel doesn't know it, which means foreign influence has weakened Israel, and they're not aware of it. And gray hairs are here and there on Israel, which means the nation is aging and becoming weaker. Sin will weaken Israel like the inexorable effects of age. In verse 10, pride testifies to Israel's face, also translated to the effect their pride testifies against them. Their pride is evidence against them. In verses 11 and 12, Ephraim is easily deceived like a dove, which means Israel is gullible. It's ironic that sin and pride make us gullible. Just as soon as we think we're wise, we're foolish. They look toward Egypt and Assyria for help when they could have had Yahweh for help. But as it is, when they go to Egypt and Assyria, Yahweh spreads his net on them and will bring them down like birds and chastise them as their congregation has heard or as they already know, but they don't take that prospect of Yahweh's chastisement seriously. Verse 13, woe to them, for they have wandered from me. Destruction to them, for they have transgressed against me. Though I would redeem them, yet they have spoken lies against me. They've spoken lies against Yahweh. They teach falsely about Yahweh. They don't have an accurate idea of him. Verse 14. They haven't cried to me with their heart, but they howl on their beds. They assemble themselves for grain and new wine. They turn away from me. Though I have taught and strengthened their arms, yet they plot evil against me. They return, but not to the Most High. They're like a faulty bow. Their princes will fall by the sword for the rage of their tongue. This will be their derision in the land of Egypt. Comment in verse 14, they haven't cried to me with their heart, but howl on their beds. It's a great line. Why should we lie on our beds howling about our miseries when we could cry to Yahweh and he would address our miseries? In verse 14, they'll assemble themselves for grain and new wine. They turn away from me. There's probably some cultural practice being referenced here that's now lost on us. Maybe gathering for grain and new wine was a pagan observance of the harvest or something. But whatever it was, it didn't honor Yahweh. They gathered in some way that constituted a turning away from Yahweh. In verse 16, they're like a faulty bow. They're broken and worthless. Their princes will fall by the sword for the rage of their tongue, which means they'll be killed for the outrageous things they say. Maybe they'll be literally killed in battle or maybe brought to some other catastrophe. But however it is, it'll be because Yahweh has ordained it against them because of their tongue. And the last line, this will be their derision in Egypt. The Egyptians whom they look up to so much will see their catastrophe and mock them over it. Hosea 8 is next.